that definition to be more in line with the state's definition, so that it's by performance standards and not by just a blanket 3-foot.
And that's what we're looking at right now. That's what we're looking at right now. I'm trying to get close to most people that are online here. And I think we'll be addressing it. I think it's July 9th, excuse me. We'll be talking about that a little bit more because we're getting recommendations from the health district, potentially a little bit more restrictive than the state, and there's some reasons why. So definitely go ahead and address that and ask those questions that you brought it up, because I want to be a little more educated, and it sounds like you've done your homework as well.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of my neighbors who have had their subdivision applications rejected on the basis of the soil not being quite deep enough.
From health district.
Yes. Okay. So, and that's in your district.
Yep.
Greg, go ahead.
I mean, just a couple thoughts, I guess. This net gross issue, it pops up occasionally. There's probably a handful of landowners out there where this could potentially impact them. Over the years, we probably had, in the last 28 years, I probably had 3 or 4 of these applications come up where they're right on that line and may or may not be able to make it because of the public road dedication issue. But I know over across the river, 25 years ago, it was changed to a net acreage to ensure consistency with the health department regulations then. I know over here in Benton County, I think in the early 2000s, there was clustering and different options allowed from innovative zoning techniques that may allow a gross acreage to be used. But certainly since we had some legal challenges in the early 2000s on our minimum lot size and the new zoning regulations developed in 2010, and net acreage has pretty much been applied ever since then, and certainly been applied since we've been here since 2016. So, I think it's important to be consistent with our local jurisdictions, all the cities, Walwell County, Franklin County. I know that's in their codes, how they administer it. I don't know, but certainly it's in their codes to administer it in that fashion. The health department, we want to be consistent with the health department, and that's certainly an important thing. And they don't include public road right away in their usable land area, and also they'll use that land area that's been dedicated to the public the landowners aren't taxed on it. And so if you're trying to meet a true minimum lot size, you don't include that area. And we have been challenging our minimum lot size in the past. So with that,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Greg on the consistency piece, and not only for just being consistent with the jurisdiction, but making sure that we don't have issues when we review plats and short plats and things where, we forget if we had a different standard to apply than the health district. Let's say if our reviewer or their reviewer didn't pick up that, you could have a subdivision that resulted in lots that could not be developed by the more restrictive standards. That would be a reason to be consistent, have consistent rules. We definitely don't want people spending the time and money. Because a survey to even do a 2-lot short plat is several $1,000s, and that'd be a big investment for somebody to make to find out that they couldn't do anything with it. The other piece of it is even though Greg said that we only see a handful of these applications, a big reason that you don't see that many is that the surveyors, when people ask if you have that 10-acre lot that has a net acreage of less than 10, they will tell you you're wasting your time, you can't do this. And so there are more lots out there that if we made this change could now become subdividable. The road systems, particularly in the areas with these 10 acres and up lots, were not laid out or designed, or the widths of the roads are not adequate to double the traffic in those areas. And so with these administrative short plats, we struggle to get any kind of impact mitigation from the developers. They almost, they'll fight you on it all the way to the end. And it's really difficult to say, yeah, you can create 2 lots, but you're going to have to do $100,000 worth of road improvements to make that happen. And so we would end up with a lot of substandard roads with traffic volumes that they were never designed to take on. And that burden would fall to the taxpayers of Benton County to make that up when we started having complaints about it. And so that's just something else the board would need to be considerate of, is this could result in traffic densities and volumes that we didn't anticipate, and a significant amount of money being invested in improving roads out in these areas. What about the 10% variable? If you had that in there, that
that would not be a typical zoning standard that we see regularly when or administer. I'd have to be educated a little bit on that and understand that.
So a couple questions I'll ask. So a couple questions.
It's just a discussion.
Yeah, so the bottom line, would you guys recommend us going to that?
No, I would recommend staying with what we currently have. Which is,
Which the definition
the
is
net acreage, which would be less any publicly dedicated right away.
Yes. I would not include public right away in the license.
So maybe sometime after tomorrow, because we've got some big things going on tomorrow, I'd like to get together with both of you and be a little bit more educated on this. I believe in using, having been a licensed instructor, master instructor with the state teacher real estate for about 30 years and being involved in the financial side of things and seeing short plat, you name it, this is my wheelhouse. I do believe in using land for the best possible use. And so this, I think what you're looking at doing is trying to subdivide this to put 2 homes on each lot, correct? Mm-hmm. And so versus non-usable, otherwise it's really non-usable for you at that point.
Yes.
And so I do believe that strongly using the land for the best possible use. In this case, that does that. So I'm not going to say that I'm for it or against it yet. I just need a little bit more educated on that. So what I promise you, I will talk to our deputy county administrator and Greg here, and I will get a little more educated. And if you get a hold of me next week, I will try to get you an answer on that. But I don't want to just say no, yes, because there's sometimes where I talked to staff, I disagreed, and we changed it. But it has to be a reasonable request, and it has to make sense to me. And I haven't got enough information since I just got back in town to do that. Will that work for you?
Yeah, and could I add something real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, on the Benton County subdivision ordinance, page 22, subsection 37, the requirements for a preliminary plat include denoting the gross and net lot acreage. So in regards to his point about them maybe approving some subdivision to go forward that goes substandard, that should get weeded out pretty early in the process. And then in regards to his comment on the roads and the density, I specifically restricted this amendment to apply only to 5 acres and up. So you're talking about a fairly marginal increase in density in these rural areas where you may be getting a 10-acre cut down into a 2 5 acres. So you're maybe adding a few houses here and there. You're not adding a huge, highly dense, subdivision. It shouldn't make a huge difference for the roads. I don't think there'll be a big impact there.
Going one more thing on that, I'm sorry. Is I understand where you're coming on that. And like I said, I'll be willing to do the homework and ask more questions on that. But what also concerns me is, I came from the city of Richland as a city councilman and as a mayor there, and I know that roads are super expensive. It costs a ton of money to maintain and hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. And I know there was a big hoopla in 2018 for the city of Richland, and I think we were able to work that out. So that's the other factor in the equation where I really talk to that gentleman right there. He's a road guy and he knows that stuff pretty dang well, that we need to make sure that doesn't affect it in a very costly way to the taxpayers of the county. So let us do our homework. I'll do the homework and reach out to me. I'll be here next week for sure. And I'll go back to the chair here.
You had your survey, and it was, I remember you showed me the survey. It was 10 point something gross.
0.05 gross acres.
10.05 gross acres, but then the net, because the 2 county right of ways took it down to
8.9 something, I believe.
Will, Commissioner McKay?
I agree with what you're saying.
Well, thank you for your time that they, like I say, Commissioner Alvarez wants to learn a little more, and then we'll let you know somehow and how we're gonna. But thanks for the discussion. I think we wanted to have a discussion, and then maybe that'll generate some more talk from other people in the in the public and stuff.
Thank you. I'm a workhorse, so I like to get things done. So we'll see.
We don't do very many of those, discussions. But I thought this was important enough. You know. Next is accepting a local solid waste financial assistance grant from the State Department of Ecology. We got that damn thing open yet?
He'll talk about that.
Well, I'll talk about it. You want to talk about that now?
Yeah, well, real quickly. I mean, I got one friend that every time I see him, he asks me, why is it open? It's been what, how many years now?
Yeah, it's been, well, it was when I first came here, the county engineer at the time said, well, you managed solid waste in Franklin County before you came here, so I'll put this on you. And it's been frustrating. So I'm frustrated. I know the public's frustrated, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm happy to forward an email on the Matt Rasmussen last week.
We
Yeah,
finally
we are finally going to get our permit. To get the permit, though, is a 30 working day process. So we're anticipating that we're hoping to be open in August.
Okay.
So we'll start working with Katie and really trying to. I know that the SWAC, the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, that is, the representatives on there represent mayors and city council members, and they would really like to have a ribbon cutting. So we're going to be working to schedule that with everybody. And so,
it's been what, 3 years to get a permit?
yes. Well, the construction started shortly after I came here in 2022. Once it was done, then we had a tour with Benton Franklin Health District and Department of Ecology. It was determined that the ventilation system wasn't quite adequate for ensuring that we were exhausting everything out of the building and doing it in a safe manner and providing really a safe environment for our people to work, as opposed to stuff being kind of sucked through their breathing zone. So we had to go back to the drawing board, had to hire another consulting firm to redesign the exhaust system or the ventilation system. That was done. And then we were asked by the Department of Ecology to dig deeper into the stormwater, not just for the facility, that was done, but for the whole lot. That's actually 2 separate parcels out there. So then we had to hire another consultant who had to do a full-blown stormwater analysis. That was completed this year, and that was all presented to the Department of Ecology, and finally they bought off on everything. The thing to remember is every time we sent them stuff, that they have I think it's a 90-day review process on it, 45 days or 90 days. And then when they had minor changes, even to our ops plan, and we made those minor changes, like maybe just being more clear on the WAC, that what the WAC says that we're citing and stuff, we'd send it back, then the new time would start. They couldn't just look at it and say, yeah, that's an easy fix, we'll go. So
You get a whole nother 90 days.
it just compounded. So yeah, I'm frustrated. I know the public is frustrated, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We're excited. We're moving forward and getting that place open now. And
Didn't we give half of it to someone else? Well, I thought we were selling the half of it or something.
Sold off one of the lots.
Yeah.
That was it, the fire. That was it, the fire.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the grant.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I'm here today to present to you guys the local solid waste financial assistance grant. It's between the Department of Ecology and Benton County Solid Waste. This is a 2-year grant with a 25% match from the cities and county, with Benton County's portion being $29,702. The total grant is about $684,000. The main task of this grant is basically to operate the moderate risk waste facility, which will provide the residents of Benton County a safe and convenient place to drop their household hazardous waste. And our expected outcome from this grant is to collect 60,000 pounds of household hazardous waste. And based on past collection events, we should be able to meet this goal once the facility is open.
And the facility was at the City of Richland's landfill,
correct.
and then that triggered this whole thing. That caught fire. Had a fire out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
city council.
I'd have to say over
You're the
15
mayor.
years.
So I'm giving you a hard time.
Not gonna happen on my one.
Wow. No, but,
We have a state-of-the-art,
Right.
fire system in that facility. And the type of facility that we're running is not what we would call a bulking facility. It's a packing facility. Bulking is where you start mixing
Yep.
stuff together. We're not doing that. They bring it in a container. That container is, if necessary, is sealed, and then it gets put in a sealed container with multiple containment. So
But people Monday through Friday will be able to just drive in and drop off.
we're going to be open, I believe, to begin with, Wednesday through Saturday. We
Okay.
believe that being open one day on the weekend is important to
Okay.
the public. So, Wednesday through Saturday, we'll have staff, it gives staff the Tuesday to make sure that everything is packed and put away. And so, yeah, we'll be open, the facility, the employees will be there Tuesday through Saturday, but it'll be open to the public Wednesday through Saturday.
Okay.
so just a couple of questions. How much, I want to hear that number again. How much was
Sorry,
the grant
it's
for?
$684,000.
Perfect. I heard it the first time, but I like to
I
say that.
know,
And the reason why I like that, and why we had that meeting is because once again, you guys going out there seeking grants. And if you don't seek those grants for public services here in Benton County, that taxpayer money that taxpayers pay in Benton County goes to Olympia. And then if you don't apply for it, someone else is going to apply for it, and our taxpayer-based money goes to another county. So I want to just say, once again, I appreciate you guys doing the homework, applying and taking the time to apply for these grants, because a lot of them aren't easy. There's a lot of paperwork involved, a lot of time involved. And I think it's a good service that helps us here in neighboring cities, because they're kicking into this as well.
Yeah.
And it's a great service that's for anybody or for the citizens of Benton County. So I want to say thank you. I think it's a good idea. And once again, keep on applying for the grants. That keeps us positive versus going into a deficit type of thing with the county. So you're using taxpayers' money and you're leveraging it right. So thank you.
I think this fund is funded by barrel tax, oil barrel tax.
Some of that, one thing I do want to give as accolades to Sheila is, there's a lot of agencies in the state that don't utilize all of
Yeah.
the monies they get. And Sheila stays on top of that, works with our grant manager. And some of that money that other counties, cities return,
Yep.
she goes after. And so we increase that on an as needed basis. You got to remember, we don't get, unless we spend it, we don't get it. So
This last grant cycle, we got 27,000 more than we had applied for because underspent counties that put that money back on the table. So that was kind of awesome.
Good work. And keep on looking at that. I know as being in the mayor, works under the city council moderation, we had safer grants, which allowed the city to go ahead and put in 2 additional fire stations that benefited everybody there at no cost. I know it was great. So safer grants are a good thing. So
Yes.
congratulations again on getting that.
Commissioner Kay?
I said it all.
Got a motion?
Want to do it? Go ahead. Okay. So I got to put my glasses on here. So I move to approve the solid waste financial assistance grant between the state of Washington, Department of Ecology and Benton County Solid Waste, and authorize the Chairman Pro, Tim, to sign the agreement.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion passes.
thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. Next, interlocal agreement for stop grant program. Jeff? What's the stop?
Stop grant is an acronym. Forgive me, I don't recall exactly what the acronym stands for, but it has to do with law enforcement, prosecutors, and other law enforcement agencies and task forces that get together and coordinate their efforts to curb violence against women.
It says services, training officers, and prosecutors.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Atkins isn't here.
He's way back in the back there.
Oh, is he? Oh. I thought you would have been up here and asked that.
We got a pass today.
That's why I asked it. Oh, okay.
We're doing okay today.
Thank you. Okay.
And so this is a bi-county interlocal agreement with Franklin County. We have a domestic violence victim witness that we have in Benton County that we will share with Franklin County. That'll be the interface between different law enforcement agencies, our office, the prosecuting attorney's office, and provide training and then do interviews of women who've been victim of violent crimes. Because this is quite an epidemic. This is a federal grant that is provided to various state agencies that assemble the necessary law enforcement agencies, that assemble the domestic violence victim witness like we have. And it's a program that we think is desperately needed between these two counties. And so what was going to happen on this interlocal is Benton County will be lead, if you will, and we will then invoice Franklin County for their apportionment of their costs of this program.
Any questions?
I do. So I guess I know that your office, Eric Eisinger's office, you're probably taking the lead. You probably did the homework on this, or someone did the homework in Benton County to put in this grant, and I think it's an important grant. But how did you guys reach out to Franklin County? Why is that agreement between the two of us, and we're just not that they're going to pay for services? But once again, it still takes man hours on Benton County side. So did you reach out to them? And if so, I kind of get it, but I'm looking at the man hour and the expense of most things like that. I guess, did you reach out to them? How did that relationship work? That's a bottom line.
So this is a relationship that actually existed previously.
Okay.
And this is
That's what the public needs to know.
this is a continuation of that relationship. And we're just trying to make sure that the apportionment and reimbursement of fees is clearer in this grant than it has been previously, to make sure Franklin County is contributing fully to this program. So this has not become a Benton County program that Franklin County just rides the coattails off of us, which has not always been the case in this program. But this program's been around a while.
That's what I wanted to hear, that clarification, so that people that are actually listening to this on Benton County, that we're actually representing Benton County taxpayers and Franklin counties on this as well, and paying that side of it. So that's why I wanted to make sure, because that's who I work for. But I want the relationship between the two. We have to work together. But you said it in a good way that I think everybody can understand. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No, a motion?
Move to approve the joint resolution between Benton and Franklin counties for the STOP grant into a local agreement.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, let's move to other business. Commissioner McKay, anything? Mr. Alvarez?
I do. I got a couple of questions for you, for both of you. So I got approached from a high school student, and I did one of these when I was over there at the city of Richland. A gentleman wanted me to go ahead and write a letter of recommendation for him in order to go to the Naval Academy, and for an appointment and a letter to Dan, who was our congressman. A few years ago when we did that. I have another one here where it's in my district. They reached out to me. This gentleman is a high school student, Kamaikan, 4.0 GPA, and you'll see what I'm getting into in a second. 4.0 GPA, ranked number 1 out of 450 in the class of 2026. His SAT score in 2025 was 1420. He has an accomplishment of a lot of items that I just don't have time to go on. He's asking for a letter of recommendation from myself as the county commissioner to Mr. Woodhouse for a recommendation to the Air Force Academy. I spoke to his family, his dad, and himself at our office. And as a veteran in the United States Marine Corps, as a veteran in the United States Army. And I know we have a Boy Scout here as well. From what he's looking at doing, I think the Air Force Academy, I think he would be an outstanding candidate for it. But I thought while I was gone last week, I thought it would be, instead of just me writing a letter and putting it on, as a county commissioner, I think it would be great with someone like this. His dad has done a lot of community service. You guys want to know the names later, you can get that with from Matters area. You guys can know that. I have 2 routes to go, and I want to go this second route if possible. I can see if he wants to come in. If he can come in next Tuesday, you guys can interview him as well as I did. And if you guys believe he would be a good candidate, then I would be willing to write a letter with all three of us and recommending him to Mr. Newhouse for a appointment to the Air Force Academy, or I can make a copy of his accomplishments, give it to staff. They can provide it to you. I can write a letter. I'll be glad to read the letter next week if you trust my judgment, and then have us all three sign it, or I can sign it on my own. I just think, once again, I talked to his family, talked to the gentleman. He's outstanding. You know, and I know, as far as the fit for different military services and different branches, I think this would be a perfect fit for him. He wants to go there and be a pilot. I think he would have the fortitude to do something like that.
I just had a friend, his grandson just graduated here.
Oh,
Yeah, and played football for the Air Force. And he just was gonna take, but there was gonna be 2 years wait time to get into flight training. He's already, basic pilot. Trump kind of like the flight school.
oh, wow.
But so, when I was in the state legislature, I looked at these things a lot. Congress, so I don't know if we have anything in our bylaws that prohibits us from doing anything like that. I don't think so.
No,
I don't think there would be
I-
anything. I just want to, but I trust your judgment if you want to draft the letter. If Commissioner Case did with it, sign it.
Yeah, I agree. My cousin, he graduated from the Air Force Academy. Flew B-52 bomber, fought in the Afghan war, F-16. So I'm all for it to give this kid support.
Yeah, I'll trust your judgment on it.
I'll write the letter and then I'll give it to staff and you guys, so they can go ahead and forward that to you. So you guys are okay with that. Then if that works, we'll just all sign it. I think, gives them a better chance.
Yeah.
Versus one. So that's all I had. I tried to write the letter yesterday a little bit because I saw my wife using this app and it was amazing. So Chat GPT. It's awesome for a financial guy that does math and poor at writing. Hey, it works.
One cool thing with the graduation though is the president comes to the graduation ceremony. Like when I went there, it was George Bush that went. So Donald Trump's probably going to come to this graduation. And well, actually, I take it back. He could probably graduate for 4 years, so maybe it'll be a different president. Yeah.
It'd be cool. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything from Jared?
Just our other business discussion.
Oh, I thought there, okay. Well, yeah, we'll go into that. I mean, unless, Mr. Spencer, do you have anything? No? Do you have anything for the clerk's office, Ely? No? Okay. Judge? No? Okay, let's go in the other discussion.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, why don't we invite Tom French and
Oh,
Matt
okay.
up to the table?
Sure.
So I'm sure there's gonna be questions.
They're all looking at me. I'm like, well,
So as you know, the lease with the Fair Board, or Fair Association is up at the end of this year. And we've been, which is a lease that none of the current administrative staff or the current county commissioners were involved in the the current lease. Oh, you were?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'll leave that one alone.
I didn't get what I wanted.
So we're currently going through that lease right now and working with the Fair Association. So we wanted to just come forward and kind of have a discussion with the board on kind of the direction we want to go. I don't know if Tom or Matt, you want to maybe cover some of the high-level changes that we're recommending. Do we want to get into that level of detail?
We can, I think we have, I mean, Mr. Alvarez has been working on it, so, yeah, I know. Commissioner Kane, I still know him.
Firstly, for me, I think the biggest thing is the fair boards, they're doing what they're doing. But I would like to see the financials. I'd like to see, okay, how much money is the fair board making? Because again, I've been getting tons of complaints. Why is Benton County Fair more expensive than the Boise Fair? Why is it more expensive than other fairs that I've gone to as a kid and stuff? And so that's why I'd like to work with the fair board and say, okay, if you guys want to still stick around, we need to see financials, but we also need to see why are our prices so high? Why can't we lower entry fees? Why can't we lower the food truck fees? You know, all the vendors and stuff, make it more reasonable for them, make it to where the cost and everyone's saving money, but okay, after where we get it, you need to make some money, but be reasonable about it. That's kind of why on my end too, on the county side, that I'm fine if the county takes over. Because we're being more reasonable to where, okay, we make $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 for maintenance. You know, we'll figure that out down the road. But
So the cost of that fees.
yeah, for the cost and everything to keep it reasonable for everybody, but make it more reasonable for the people coming to the fair.
So you want me to go and you guys can chime in a little bit?
Sure.
I kind of give you the back history. The current contract and the way it was, I'm a contract guy. I've been having to honor and work with contracts for the last 30 plus years. The contract that we currently have has been outdated. I don't think it's kind of lopsided. I did talk to the chair of the fair board, and she said there was bad items on both sides, the county side and their side. I know I've worked with Matt and Jared and Tom and Galt, a civil attorney. I read through the contract, and there's a bunch of the contract that was just erroneous, didn't need to be there. So when you guys look at that, we cut a lot of it out because it wasn't necessary. It was nothing that needed to be in the contract at all. The other portion that was updated was that we have no control on, but it's going to increase the cost to the fair board is our risk pool and the amount of liability insurance that is required from them now. So we're going to have to, they've looked like they've updated that portion, which is something that's out of our control. It's more in the hands of what our risk pool insurance requests us to go ahead and put in there. The things I think Commissioner McKay, you said, I agree with you as far a couple things. I want this fair to be, we're always looking to up our game from good, better to best. I want it to be a fun, friendly family experience that's more affordable. So me and on the same page on that. Yes, I agree. You know, one thing when I was over in Olympia, I'm a legislative steering committee with WASAC, Washington Association of Counties. I talked to a lot of the different commissioners in there and got their take on fairs and what they're doing on their counties. And every one of them told me they require, and they do, they're kind of shocked. They do get their financials. And that just doesn't mean tax returns. That means their profit and loss and balance sheets. And that's how we kind of know where everything stands. So one of the things I know that from what I got when I just got back into town, I know the County Administrator McPherson told me that the fair board has been contacting individually the commissioners over in Franklin County. And I'm friends with all of them. I get along with them all. But I don't want to repeat myself, but I do have some concerns. I think the contract that's worked out will be a good starting base to talk to the fair board. I do believe we should go ahead and get those financials ahead of time before we accept and do a contract, but we're running out of time. The fair board chair contacted me here recently, and the reason why I kind of got involved is because I knew that the contract was coming to a head and we needed to do something. They're requesting to know before the fair starts because they want them to get out and start getting different acts and different things going on. There was another thing in there. I'll think about that. So what I did is I looked at the fair board. I'm like, did I know anybody on the person, the treasurer? I worked with the person. I've known that person for a long time. And so that's why I made contact with her. That's how I'm working with them. I do have a couple of issues. I do believe in the financials should be done. I do believe that we had to update the liability section of it. I know there's a huge cost. We have, it's just, you have to maintain that 365 days a year. I know just the pesticides alone, I think Tom said was over 10,000 plus. You just can't, in the maintenance of the facilities, the maintenance of the buildings, everything. And we have, I think, 3 full-time employees over there, 2 full-time FTEs over there, and that's a cost. You have to do all that stuff just to maintain those buildings and all the grounds for that 1 week. Sure, we put other events on there. We're trying to improve those events. And I want to go to one more thing before I get back to a key point in Franklin County is is we are doing improvements, significant improvements. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow from the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce with seating and buildings and all those type of things. That money is, and I saw an article in the paper, I believe, and some people within the comments of the Facebook portion said it's going to increase the cost of tickets. No, I want to make sure we have that understanding. That comes out of our rural county capital funds and our capital improvement project funds. Those are there just, I might be wrong on the.
No, you're right. To make sure we're clear, the county doesn't influence the cost of the ticket to the fair.
Absolutely.
All of these improvements are being made through dollars that we have either, the rural county fund is a tax rebate that we get from the state. And then we also have our county road improvement or county credit funds that we can use towards that. Those are also public works and economic development related. And so those are money that we get for the Hanford site, which isn't taxed. So we get a payment in lieu of tax. And then we have our own capital dollar. We have the real estate excise tax that goes directly to the fairgrounds for capital. And so, yeah, we're not increasing the cost of any events by making all of these improvements.
The reason why we're doing that is two things: to make the fair, once again, a more fun, friendly family experience, upping our game. But also will attract more, hopefully more events that go out there, which generates revenue for us, so we can keep our tax base down for taxpayers. So we're being very responsible financially. One of the things that gets me, and I have a hard time when I read through this contract, as we were cleaning it up and taking things and adding things in there, was it's called a Benton Franklin Fair and Rodeo. And we have 2 full-time employees. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of maintenance costs. And like I said, I get along with all 3 Franklin County commissioners, but we have to make sure everybody has skin in the game. In this case, there's, I believe it's, and I could be wrong, but I believe it's $10,000 skin in the game for Franklin County. But here's the kicker for me, and I just have a hard time, with good business practices and being a business guy for a long time, is that we require the fair board to have a certain amount of insurance for putting on a fair. But with settlements and judgments being skyrocketed, I think Matt had mentioned if someone got food poisoning and there was a settlement of $20 million. This was being pretty transparent from the conversation. Yes, $20 million, and they have a $5 million, $10 million policy. We're on the hook for the other $10 million.
Correct.
That affects potentially our risk of whole assessment fees potentially, and it puts taxpayers in Benton County in peril potentially. If it's higher, it could be worse, because once their insurance is taken down, then they're going to come after Benton County. Franklin County, zero liability in that. That bothers me. So there was a schedule in there. You guys can look at that. We can have a number on it. So when we were talking about it yesterday, Tom, both administrators were in there. Dot was in there. We were looking at potentially, I would say, get a letter out there to Franklin County with a schedule of where they pay XYZ amount into participating in the fair. And that would be a schedule. I think we did it as next year would be a buy because they didn't give the time because it wasn't within their budget this year. They didn't plan for it, so it has to be fair. So next year would be a buy. And then there's, for the remaining 4 years, there would be a cost that they would kick in to the fair, which would help reduce some of the costs on maintaining the grounds, things like that. So that's one option. Another option would be if Franklin County doesn't want to do that, we're talking about the financials with the fair board, then the fair board could go ahead and opt in and buy in for Franklin County, and then we would increase the cost of what they're currently paying to subsidize Franklin County for that buy-in as well. We have a schedule for that. Or the third option, especially if financials aren't being provided, and then at that point in time, I'll tell you what I would recommend, is that then if Franklin County doesn't want to kick in, the Benton Franklin Fairground Rodeo Board doesn't want to buy in for Franklin County, then it becomes the Benton County Fair and Rodeo. And then and if we want to do that, the Fair and Rodeo wants to do that, they could get a DBA. Those are the three options I think make the best sense for the people that we work for that hired us in these positions as Benton County commissioners. So I think we've given an option for both Franklin County or the Fair Board to do both. At that point in time, then you guys want to do that, I'll support that. You guys want to do something else, I will 100% support what both of you guys want to do, but I want to lay out some options for you because I think everybody has to have skin in the game. And that's in any type of business, what I've seen. If you have skin in the game, you're going to be more interested in making it.
Well, when I first got elected as a commissioner, it was, I don't use that term, good old boys network, but it was something, I don't know what that term means all the time, but it was, it was every, the fair, in the county, the Fair Board in the county. I mean, because I took a look at those contracts, yeah, we need to change them. The Fair Board needs to pay the county more, what I thought was fair. But, it takes, 2 votes and I never had the votes to change that contract, right? Because again, that term, good old boys, but it needed update and I'm glad you're taking it on. And I think all 3 of us are thinking the same now. But what always bothered me is that they never would turn over their financials. You never knew what they were doing. You heard a lot of rumors that it would pay for trips to Vegas and other fairs and stuff. I don't know if that was ever true or not because you couldn't see their financials. And they would tell you no, but and my biggest problem is they're an unelected board. I know they volunteer, and that's good because they put it on, decent fare, good fare on, but they're unelected. They're not accountable to anyone. There's no accountability. They pick their own board members. I've always said, well, maybe I'd put a commissioner on there, something, weighted voting or something. I mean, that's one thing that's always bothered me about the fair. I do appreciate, going out to the fair and such. But it's always bothered me is that they're unaccountable, they're unelected to themselves, right? Their own little group. And then you learn about the liquor license. The county doesn't even hold the liquor license out there. Some entity down in Oregon has the liquor license. Craft beverage.
Yep.
Yeah, so I just can't believe that our state liquor board, cannabis board now, would allow that. The owner of the property doesn't even have the liquor license to control that. I think we need to go to the liquor board and get that straightened out.
Yeah, we need to clean that up.
Clean that up, but all the money that's gone in out there has been Benton County. I mean, the fair, they do some stuff, at the end, they built those over the chute things and they put some, but, we're about ready to put in 12 million?
12 million.
12 million.
We're putting $15 million into that facility in the next year and a half.
Yeah,
We have
I mean,
the new
that's-
parking lot
yeah,
and a new.
That's Benton County taxpayers' bid, but, it's not a cost to the fair board or the fair. It's what we think it should be a good place, for use for events and stuff. I mean, we've, over the years, I think I've been here, there's probably been another 8 million into buildings and improvements out there, restrooms, that's all, the county's done that. So, we want to have a place that, the residents of Benton County are prideful of. And all the money we've been putting in out there to make that. And when I first came on, I mean, their whole buildings, it's been neglected for a long time.
Yep.
Come to find out, like a lot of things in this county have been neglected a long time. But, we're using resources now to fix things up and maintain things. But yeah, I appreciate the work you're doing. Commissioner Alvarez, because it does need, it needs updated and we need some accountability somehow.
So I think the proposal would be, if you guys are good with it, is I think Galt had drafted up a letter to Franklin County with a schedule of timeframes and years of where they would ramp it up to XYZ amount in the next 5 years. If you guys would be good with that, if staff wants, if you talk to staff, maybe they would do that. But if they do that, they probably need to get it done sooner than later, ASAP, so that time frame starts. I don't think it only takes a couple of meetings to see if that would work for them. That will give us a heads up before we need to go ahead and talk to the Fair Board and agree that we're going to move forward and how we're going to move forward with the Fair Board. That's one option. It also gives the Fair Board time to talk to Franklin County to see if that buy-in is going to be there or not. Let them work it out. But at least we have skin in the game for some more maintenance on that cost. And also, I think the financials are a big thing to find out where we're at on that. I think from what I hear from staff, they would like the financials. I was kind of like, let's keep the contract up. There are a lot of nonprofits out there. We have Kiwanis clubs, Boys and Girls Club, United Way. We're going to have to coordinate. I want all those entities not to be affected by this. So if we could get this contract done and everybody's willing to kick in, Franklin County, the Fair Board's willing to work with that, I think that we kept the cost the same to the Fair Board for the next 5 years. I think we didn't change that, but they were going to go ahead and go 10% because we wanted them to kick in XYZ amount of money for improvements to the fairgrounds. I think Tom suggested 10%, which would be 75 on top of the 175. That might be a feasible thing for them to do. So I think they would be willing to work with that. The key thing is, I think, because of the liability, because of the expense of maintaining it, it's just not, unless, one entity paid for an employee's time for 1 week, it takes 365 to maintain that. But I think we have a couple options of giving that to Franklin County and seeing where we're at on that.
Well, the one thought came to mind because you mentioned
Yeah.
that they were talking individually to the Franklin County Commissioners. I don't know the purpose of that. They're trying to put pressure on us. I expect an article in Tri-City Herald soon then, about how bad Benton County is and fair and that's what they've done in the past.
Well, the bottom line is this, and I want to put that out there. A, we are trying to do our due diligence, fix a contract that has not been once again, being a contract person, I don't think it was just a good business practice on the contractor involved. It's a little lopsided. We're going to have a better contract, better understanding between both entities. I think that's a good thing. We're being good stewards of taxpayers' money. Where we're actually looking at putting on and upping our game to making it a more better experience, more family friendly, and trying to lower the cost of the fair to everybody that participates. I don't think anybody I've talked to out in the public, when I say we're looking at improving the fair experience for our family individuals that are going there and trying to reduce that cost, I didn't hear anyone in the public. They're all like, let's do it. It's so expensive for our families and kids. I think that's one good thing. I don't think that's going to be an issue. We just have to make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons. And I believe in my heart we're doing it for the right reasons. We're cleaning up a contract that needs to be done. And we're getting Franklin County, because it is the Benton Franklin County Fair, to have a little bit of skin in the game. Not as much as us, but enough to help participate for some of the work that needs to be done in there and contributing to that and making improvements for everybody, both Benton and Franklin County.
That sheet that I think they gave it to you and showed what they put back into the community. You remember what that dollar amount is?
It goes to different entities. I don't remember off the top of my head, but if you guys want to mention some of the entities, because we're not
Most of it went to Franklin.
A lot of the entities are in Franklin County, where they do their community support. I mean, there are organizations in Benton County, but they do the Freedom Rodeo, which is in Franklin County, the Franklin County Cattlemen's Club, the
Junior Livestock
Show. There's something in Pasco with Mary person.
You know that off the top of your head.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
or price money, those type of things for the rodeo. So we didn't address that part. If they're willing to do the contract the way how we have it set up, we didn't address where, if they had any proceeds, where those proceeds would stay, whether it's a Benton County or Franklin County, since they're paying into the fair. But you're right, that's another valid point.
I think one thing we did try to capture in the new agreement is that there would be more investment from the Fair Association back into the property.
Which is that 10%.
Right, that's been very loosely defined
Right.
before, and just said that they would try to,
Right.
and now we've got a hard commitment to say you need to have this much, because they have done projects out there,
Yeah.
but it's been willy-nilly, and so we want to, we read them the grounds at a significant reduction of what it would cost somebody to rent it for the same time period, and so we want an investment back in that property to make sure, as Commissioner Alvarez
You
says,
fix
it's
the dates on it too, when they have access and stuff, that's what.
more clearly defined
Yeah, more
those.
Clearly defined.
Yeah.
It is a really
And
good.
I think we've even cut it down just a little bit at the beginning and the end. We've worked with them, certain areas that we don't utilize, the animal barns, they would have longer term periods, but those other areas like the arena and the main buildings, we want to have access to those as fast as possible because
Right.
we want to bring other events to the community. And so,
Right.
It's a very cleaned up contract, and I think when they were looking at, even when I talked to the third board a little bit, they wanted to see if they could get some input, if they were gonna put some XYZ amount of dollars into the fair, and one of the things was mentioned, I thought that was fair enough. I know, Tom, you thought that was a good thing, was some of the animal buildings, such as what they have exhibits for all the rabbits. It's dilapidated, it needs to be improved. I think the fan system needs to be done, so hey, if they're willing to kick in on and do those improvements, and we all agree, and I think Tom would agree with that, that would be a good thing. But that's giving improvements back to some of the experience of the 4-H kids and those type of things as well.
Question for you three gentlemen. I've heard all three of you talk about financials and how important it is to see those financials, the profit and loss statements, the balance sheets. Is that something the board wants to see prior to entering into a new agreement with the Fair Board?
I would like maybe the past 3 years
Prior to,
Including not just tax returns, but P&Ls and balance sheets.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, like, find out, okay, how much you guys making, if you're making a lot of money, drop your prices, make it more reasonable for everybody to bid.
prioritize?
No. Proprietary
Oh, yeah.
information on there. I mean, I'm not gonna go out and share it with the public, I'll keep it to myself. And look at it, at least I look at it. I mean, imagine, you gotta have an account.
I'm not, so so you're looking at all tax returns, including all schedules, balance sheets, P&Ls, and a P&L and balance sheet for year to date.
And 3 years back.
And then the second, so I'll go with you guys. I'm good with that too. How about as far as a letter, looking at a schedule, Franklin County?
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the key things, and if we can get those things done, you guys put a shorter term for the response on the county side of it, and then that way we know when we're getting a response, we can start working with the fair board to see if this is going to happen prior to the start of the fair, so we can all move forward. I like to see it all work together in tangent. I think the contract's pretty fair, and this might work out, and then guess what? We have our 5 years, and it works out for the 5 years. We can just keep on moving because we cleaned it up that much.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you guys feel about it?
No,
I want to know from staff.
I think it's me personally. I mean, I'm a Franklin County resident, but I represent the citizens of Benton County, and I think it's critical that because we do such a community, we allow them to host that event out there at a rate. We want to make sure that we're representing for our taxpayers that the dollars they're paying into that facility and go to those events or that we're getting the best deal we can out there for them. So knowing what those financial statements are is critical in my opinion.
People get happy when they see noticeable changes or improvements to where they go and where the money goes. I know that, are you asking?
Yeah, Jim raised his hand. I know he's talked about the fair in the past. I know this isn't a public hearing. more of a discussion, but you're here, Jim. And oh, okay, we certainly would take comment from the public too.
Yeah, and that's what I thought, this was just a discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would just go back to approximately 3 years ago when I sent the letter to the commissioners about the fairgrounds and what to do, and we hired Tom. I say we, you guys hired Tom, and you made changes up there per my suggestions to get more business up there. And so that's what he's been doing, and that's a great deal. He's accomplished a lot. I understand exactly the insurance issue, you know. Just a reminder that the fair used to be run by the county, and then they didn't have people to run it. That's how the fair board came about, you know. And then, you know, all those old barns, they were just built by the horse racers and stuff, you know. It's good they're gone. But I like the fact that you're all in agreement. We're all in agreement how to get it down. But I do know this, that a couple of years ago when COVID came along, that they still had to pay contractors, stock contractors, because they had contracts with them. And, you know, COVID couldn't do this, so they still had to pay that. I don't know what their money situation is, but, and I've talked to those guys over the years, and I've seen them in Las Vegas, and, you know, they've always told me, I mean, I've been focusing on the fair board for 30 years, you know, just seeing what's going on, not being in the sidelines so I can see. And they've all told me over the years, they pay their own way to Vegas, you know, but, you know, some guys got some friends with the private planes and they fly down there and, you know, they're living a lot
But
better.
those rumors have been out there.
Pardon?
Oh, I just heard those rumors before.
Oh, well, yeah, everybody's heard those. And you are correct, those rumors are out there. But so that makes you wonder what the heck's, where's all the money going, you know? And I've heard over the years too, some of the vendors haven't come back because the prices are too high, you know, but then you hear some money, how much the vendors make, you know, and I knew a guy who used to be a vendor, not here, but he said they make in 2 or 3 days, $10,000, you know, just selling corn.
More than that now.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, I want everybody to have some skin in the game, and I also think this contract that we're looking at doing is a balanced, fair contract, which will be beneficial to the public, which is the number one, people, you know, that's the number one thing there to do, and I think it's fair to the county, I think it's fair to the fair board, to how we revised it. So I think it'll be a good thing.
No.
If we make it work.
Yeah, and it all sounds good, you know, that everybody's working together, but you said you have a meeting tomorrow at the?
It's an event, so we're doing the state of the county tomorrow.
The what?
At the state of the county, it'll be Franklin
So
County.
the chamber.
Yeah, at the Tri-State Regional
Monthly
Chamber of
chamber
Commerce.
luncheon.
Yeah, in Pasco. So we're gonna talk about the events and all the different things we're doing here at the county level.
Okay, thank you.
You got Jim to come up.
Rebecca again. Is there any opportunity to put in a clause that will not infringe upon our Second Amendment rights?
Let us ponder that. I don't know.
Okay.
We have to ask legal.
Yeah.
'Cause I know the state just did some things.
Yeah, that's right.
It would have been much safer, you know, if
But
all
I
of
know
us
the
legals
state-
were there.
The state changed a lot, so, you know, ask legal.
Okay, thank you.
Good night, thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Anything else for this? No? Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, thank you. Nothing else, no further business. We'll adjourn the meeting. Everyone have a good rest of the day. I know we kept you here for an hour and a half. Unusual.
Shoes.